Hello and welcome to my website, Born in Hell. My name is Laurie Smith, and I'm a child abuse survivor, doing a series of videos really looking at the progression of the abuse that I suffered as well as my family. And so, thanks everybody who's been watching my videos and sharing my work. Thanks for doing anything you can to stop and prevent child abuse. That's my main goal. And and just be another voice for survivors out here, who are not able to speak out for whatever reason. So I say this on every show. You never know when people are watching one show and don't watch another, sort of thing. So I do, do a bit of an introductory message. But all of my shows are explicit and graphic, really dealing with child abuse, and you have to listen at your own discretion. And there's my cat, Laurie. And you have to listen at your own discretion. I'm talking about abuse, violence, domestic violence, every type of abuse you can think of. And if those topics make you uncomfortable, or you think they might make you uncomfortable, you have to know what's good for you to listen to. If you think something like that's going to bother you, then you need to turn it off and don't watch it. You won't hurt my feelings at all. And if you're a survivor, know how far along in your healing journey you are before you check any of my stuff out to deal with child abuse, because you don't want to be triggered and regress in your healing journey. It's very important, So you want to make sure that you're safe enough, far enough along in your healing journey. You can listen to something like this and it's not going to trigger you, and cause you to go backwards in your healing journey, right? And if you're a minor under the age of 18, I ask you have some sort of adult parental, so some adult who will listen to the stuff first to make sure it's age appropriate for you, right? Adult parental consent, because I don't know how young people are that are going to be listening to this or watching these, and I always put a graphic, explicit warning on my stuff dealing with child abuse, because anything that's graphic or explicit, because I don't know how young the people are that will be watching or listening to my work, and so you need to make sure that you keep yourself safe as a child. You deserve to be protected. I'm all about child abuse prevention. So anybody who's 18 and under, please have an adult, even if it's a teacher, somebody listen to this stuff. Make sure that it's appropriate, age appropriate for you, right? And if you're in a situation where you're being abused, whether it's domestic violence or you're a child who's being abused, call 911, get some help, learn how to get yourself to a safe place if you're in a domestic violence situation and your children, and get a safety plan in place. And if you're a child being abused, you get some help. You tell about, I don't know, I always say 5 or 10 people, tell as many people as you can, call 911, get somebody to call 911, report it properly, and get help, right? So thanks everybody, I really appreciate it. We're looking at the years 16 and 17. And, I met this new girl. I knew her from before, never hung around with her, but now that my best friend Arlene is dead, and Desiree's moved to Oklahoma, I'm hanging around with a different crowd, a little younger, at least 2 years younger than myself. But I know these kids. I grew up with these kids, lived on the same block with them my whole life, except for 5 years when we lived in Hell House on Indian School Road. But I was only 2 blocks away, and I was on the block still playing with them when I was allowed to go over there. Right? If my mother allowed me to go to the block, right? So I met this new girl, and we're hanging out, and I detailed the beatings that I got that summer. I'm not 16 yet, and still, being beaten by my mom, being beaten by my dad. Domestic violence is still going on in my home. My sister's married and moved out at this time. Howard is gone. He's moved to Canada, so I'm the only one left in the house. And I've turned 16, so I'm in high school. And my mom doesn't like Diane, not at all. My new friend, she's the one who's in the picture of La Vida Juby's cover. My sister had taken a picture of us outside in the summer, and I was 16, and she was 14. She was 2 years younger than me. She's wearing the red shirt with the jacket. I'm wearing just the button-up military-style fatigue jacket with the blue jeans. You can tell the size difference. I mean, she's 14, I'm 16. I'm still not really all that big. I did do some more growing, right? And, my mom didn't like her. Not at all. And she knew who she was, too, and she knew who her mom was. She knew who her family was, right? And she didn't like her. Not at all. She made no bones about it. She didn't mind saying that she didn't like her. And my mom, she would call her names. She'd be like, I don't want you hanging around with that little bitch, She's just a tramp. She's a whore. she's going to get you into trouble and all this stuff, you know. And I'm like, you know, this is one day when I came in from hanging around with her, I came in probably the evening, and my mom's like, I want to talk to you, right? And so I'm like, oh, my mom wants to talk to me. It's going to be another fucking beating, you know. Because whenever my mom wants, see, this has been going on forever. Since the time I was a little kid, starting school at 4 years old, and an adult talked to me, I thought I was going to get beaten, right? Because that's generally that was the case, right? It just wasn't good. So, you know, I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, this is a potential bad situation. My mom's like, you know, I don't want you hanging out with her. I'm standing in the doorway because I'm thinking this is the safe place I could be. The safest place in the kitchen is in the doorway because I still had a chance to get out. I'm starting to get a little smarter. And, you know, she's like, you know, I don't want you hanging around with her anymore, and calling her names and stuff. And I really felt like I needed to defend her. You know, I said she's not any of those things that you're saying. She's just a kid down the street. You know. So my mom gets pissed off. I don't give a shit what you think, you goddamn fucking whore. She picks up and throws a cup of hot coffee at me. This was normal. This is like normal. Usually it could be plates of spaghetti. Like quite often it was plates of hot food. But she throws this cup of hot coffee at me, and you know, wings it at me. It hits me. It's splashed all over me. I got fucking hot coffee all over my top, right? And I'm thinking, this isn't gonna be good. You know, this she's setting up a situation here for an ass kicking for me, right? And so I start getting a little. I'm actually nervous at this point, and she started to scream, and literally, I'm telling you, you know, my asshole slams shut. I'm so used to being beaten and trashed by her that when she starts getting like that, my whole body freaks out, right? I talk a lot about that on my blog talk radio shows, One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, looking at the issues of this type of abuse that just, you know, that kids just, you know, that your body is in such a state of, it's in this hyper aroused state all the time, and adrenaline is flowing all the time. And it literally makes you sick. Right? And so that was my natural state. You know, it was in a fight or flight, right? That adrenaline, right? And she actually sits back down, and I'm like relieved. I'm like, I'm not gonna get beat tonight. I was like very, very happy. She's like, well, I don't want you hanging around with her anyway. So I go to my room, hot coffee, like coffee all over my top. My top's stained. I'm like, whatever. I used to just wear these white t-shirts anyway. I didn't have any clothes. I still didn't have very many clothes. They were all from the thrift store. And so she does. It's fall. I'm 16 years old. It's fall. Actually, no, I'm still 15. I'm sorry. I'm still 15. This is before I turned 16, so I'm still 15. It's the fall now. So that whole summer beatings, all that's over. Now it's fall, right? It's October. And my mom wants to go to my sister's for dinner. They've invited my mom, my dad, and myself. This would be my sister Irene for dinner. And I don't want to go. I'm sitting on the porch. We had, you know, just a regular little front porch type thing. Just an open thing. I'm sitting out there on this little bench that's out there that belonged to the house, right? We're just renting this house, right? And my friend's with me, Diane, right? We did everything together. We were there. We were together every day, like I said. And we wanted to go get stoned. We wanted to go get high. Smoke some joints, hang around. I did not want to go to my sister's house, right? I'm starting to get older. I want to break away from my parents. You know, I'm 16. I'm like, God, I'd like to be able to just be left alone for once, you know what I mean? Without my mom's backhand in my face, you know? And I was like, can't I just, if I go to my sister would just put me down when I went over there. My sister Irene, she just put me down, and her husband did too. And I was always just this brat, this idiot kid who needed to be thumped, you know? And so I didn't want to go over there. Not that I had the opportunity to go get high with my friend. Of course I'm going to choose that, right? So my friend's like, no, let's just go get stoned. Who cares what your mom says? We're talking out there on the porch. It's evening, you know. This is probably like, you know, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock or something. We're supposed to be heading over for dinner. And I'm like, I know, I don't really want to go, man. With my mom, I said, and she goes, well, just tell your mom you're not going. And I'm like, you don't know my mom, man. You don't tell my mom that you're not going, man. Like, she'll kill you. Right? She's like, no, just tell her. Just tell her you're not going. And I'm like, well, you don't seem to understand the situation. It doesn't matter whether I want to go or not. She'll drag my ass there. Like, she beats me. She pummels me, you know. And my friend was like, you gotta like, you just gotta start standing up for yourself, man. And my mom's listening to all this inside. Right? She can hear it. Parents know what's going on, right? So my mom's starting to get mad. She's starting to get pissed off. She hears all this, and she's like, she comes to the screen door. She's like, I don't give a goddamn rat's ass what you want and what you don't want. You're going, and that's all there is to it. We're all going, and you're going to get in the car, and you're going to go. And I don't give a fuck what you want, right? So she wanders off, and I'm like, I've just had enough, And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm putting my foot down on this one. I don't know what got into me. I really don't. I figured, oh, well, we get beat anyway. I'm going to go get stoned with my friend. So I didn't say anything. I just went in the house to get my jacket. It was October. October in New Mexico is cold. It's, generally it would be right around freezing, especially in the evening. It's chilly, right? It's not like the summers in New Mexico where it's hot, right? It's when it gets cold in the desert, it gets cold. And I didn't have any shoes on, and I didn't have a jacket on. I just had my t-shirt on, my jeans. So I thought, I want to go get my jacket and my shoes, right? So I went in the house, and my friend followed me. And I was going to my bedroom to get my jacket and my shoes. I didn't say anything to my mom, nothing. I didn't see her. Well, I went into my room, and as I was going into my room, my mom comes behind me. I didn't hear her. I didn't see her. I thought I was safe. I'm thinking, I'm safe. Come in. She won't even know. I'm coming to get my jacket and my shoes, right? She's probably in the bathroom or something, getting ready to go. She comes behind me. She still weighs 280 pounds, 250, 280, somewhere in there. She's still 5'11 and a half. And she's still much bigger than me. Nothing's changed. It's only been half of it, like 3 months. In summertime, she's kicking my ass before, right? And she comes up behind me, and I didn't know it. So this caught me completely off guard. She went like this, and literally right in the middle of my spine, down the middle of your back, and you got the very center of your back in the spine. She hammered my spine as hard as she could, and knocked the air out of me. Sent me down into my bedroom. My bedroom had like a little 2 sets of stairs. So she knocked me down into the bedroom. I'm like surprised because I'm like, where'd that come from? Where the hell was she standing? She must have been standing in the kitchen waiting for me. She was waiting for me. My mom was waiting for me so she could hit me. I was like, yeah, son of a bitch. So she knocks me to the ground. My friend's witnessing this. She came in behind me. Right? So my mom comes booking into the room, and she's going to let me have it because I've defied her. I said I wasn't going to my sister's house for dinner, and she don't give a shit what I want. It doesn't matter what I want. She doesn't give a damn. I'm going to do what she says, right? I'm still under her thumb, man, So she starts beating my ass. She's pulling my hair. Literally, I'm on the ground, and she's pulling my hair, and she's slapping me, and she's punching me, and she's kicking me, and my friend. And I'm like this. I'm just trying to ward off the blows, man. That's all I ever did. I would never raise a hand at my mother. It's not the right thing to do. And she's just beating my ass again. That's my life. This is what I do. I lay on the ground and let my mom beat the shit out of me, right? So I'm trying to ward off the blows, right? And my friend yells at her and says, there's laws against child abuse, And my mom mom lets me go. Turns around and looks at her and says, "Get the fuck out of my house." And my friend was like, "Fuck you." It was really bad. It was really bad. I was like, "Right on, go, die, go." That was my friend, my new friend, telling my mom to fuck off. It felt good. It really felt good to have somebody stand up for me for, while I'm being beaten and actually say something back to my mom. It really felt good. I was like, oh, thank God. Finally, And so I get up off the floor and I push past my mom and I'm out the door. And I turn around and I literally slam that door 3 times. Just like I did in the bedroom. This is all coming back. These beatings, these horrific, I slammed that door. I'm like, slam, slam, slam. She's like, stop slamming that door. I said, you want to beat me? You want to beat me? You want to fucking beat me? You go ahead. I said, I'm fucking sick of it. I said, you're a goddamn bitch. And I'm literally screaming at her. At the top of my lungs. That's the very first time that I ever showed any emotion for all of the beatings previous, for all of the abuse, for all of the name calling, for all the abuse, the burnings, allowing my brother to rape me, breaking my nose because I slammed the door 3 times. I slammed the door. I'm like, you want to beat me? I said, I know you do. No more. So I walked off. And my friend was already kind of up the street because my mom had told her to get the fuck out of the house, right? So she was already wandering, and I come running up. And she's like, your mom's a fucking bitch. I said, I know. I said, now you know what I've been dealing with, She goes, you've got to learn how to stand up for yourself, man. She's like 14 years old. I have this little 14-year-old girl telling me, a 16-year-old girl, just about, that I'm 2 months away from my birthday. Now, this 14-year-old kid telling me that I need to learn how to stand up for myself. And that I shouldn't be allowing my mother to treat me like that. That I should be demanding some better treatment. I'm like, I need to hang around with this chick more often, man. She can teach me a few lessons. So we smoked a joint on the way back to her house, right? Walking over to her place. And it's cold. I don't have my shoes on. My feet are freezing. I don't care. I'm so used to shit. I don't care. So we get over to her place. I got a big old fucking welt on my face from my mom backhanding me and slapping me. If you guys want to see the aftermath of that, there's a picture that was taken of me the next day because I slept on her couch. And I told her sister I was mad, actually. In the picture, I looked pissed off, and I was. But I was actually pissed off because, I had been suffering at the hands of these people for so long that my attitude was really going to shit. And I told her not to take a picture of me because I had a welt across my face, some bruising. You can see some swelling. And it hadn't even really started because it was just the next morning, right? I didn't want a picture taken with that, But so I was kind of like this in the photo, pointing finger like, don't take the photo. Well, she took it. But you can see the marks, from my mom just giving it to me, man, And so anyway, I smoked a joint on the way back to her place, right, with her. Start to calm down. I'm thinking, I'm dead. I'm dead when I go back home. I'm going to have to go home at some point, right? Unless I can come live at your house. Because my mom is going to kill me for what I just did, right? She's literally she was always threatening to take my head off, to knock me into next Tuesday, to kill me. It was her right to kill me. Fear really was coming over me. I was like, I'm dead. My mom's going to fucking kill me. She won't stab me. She will beat me to death. She'll pound. She used to say, as she's beating me, my mom, she'd be like, I'm going to break every bone in your body. I'm going to break every bone in your body. And I'd be like, well, yeah, you are fucking breaking every bone in my body. So, I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell am I going to do now? But I was safe for now, so that was cool. So we went to her house, and her mom's new boyfriend's there. And they're younger, like they're my sister's age, these people. Her mom's more of a normal mother's age, you know. They're my old, this lady used to hang around with my sister, her mother, Sarah. So my sister and her were friends. And my sister, you know, got married and had kids. This lady got married and had kids. My friend Diane, right? So these people, this all connected. See, this neighborhood, right? Everybody kind of knew each other, right? And so I come in the house. She already knows who I am, and I'm a Smith kid. It's obvious she knows who I am. And Diane's like, "Yeah, Laurie's gonna hang out with us. Is it okay if she spends the night tonight?" And her mom's like, "Well, sure." You know, she's like, "Yeah, her mom just beat the shit out of her, you know, slapping her around." They could see the marks, you know. And then her stepdad, her future stepdad, actually said, "Did they do that to you all the time?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is just my life, man. This is it. This is what I do. This is my house. This is my life, you know." And he's just like, "Oh, son of a bitch," you know. And I'm like, "Well, it's just the way it is." And my friend was like, "She didn't even really do anything. She just didn't want to go to supper to Irene's house, and she knew who Irene was." And this Sarah lady, we're all sitting around the living room. And her mother says, "Oh yeah, well, you should have seen the way that your dad treated your sister Irene." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know much about that because no, Irene won't talk about nothing." She goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "We were hanging around in the front yard one time, all of us kids, you know, all these teens and stuff when we were teens. This was probably before you were born. 1 year before you. It was like probably 1 or 2 years before you were born. And we're all hanging out there, and your dad's mad because he wanted Irene to go in the house. He didn't want her hanging outside with us. Right? So he told her to go in the house, and she didn't listen to him. See, none of my dad's kids listened to him. It's kind of sad, but that's the way it was. Even though he'd kick your ass, he still didn't listen to him. It was a matter of like, we're not fucking respecting you. We're not looking at you. You're raping mom. You're hurting the kids. Fuck you. Right? So that's the attitude, right? And so she said, yeah, she wouldn't listen to him. So he went out. He went out and he grabbed her and he ripped her shirt and bra off in front of all of us. And I'm like, really? And she's like, oh yeah, yeah. And then he dragged her into the house, beat her ass, and I'm like, that fucking bastard. That's my dad. Nice. He's such a sweet old man, you know? And it's just like, you know, really just absolutely horrific. So I'm sitting there with him. There comes a knock on the door. It's my dad, because he knows where we live. He knows where they live, right? Everybody knows where everybody lives. This is like 2 blocks away, right? Everybody knows everybody. It's not a small town, really. It's just that it's the neighborhood where all the kids grew up. Nobody really moved away. Not all that far. So they know where to find me. My dad's at the door, and he's like, is my daughter here? And the guy's like, yes. And I'm sitting on the couch going, oh, fuck. This is not going to be good. They're going to drag me out there, and then they're going to really beat my ass. Both of them, probably, for all this trouble I've caused. It's like, oh, shit. Probably my mom will kick my ass first and leave the leftovers for my dad. Because my mom had to get it really good, you know. And I was like, oh, I'm dead. I'm fucking dead meat. So I'm sitting there just freaking out, really. I'm like, I don't want to go. Oh, I don't want to go. And my dad's like, her mother is demanding that she comes with us. And that guy, his name is Robert. He's like, he looks at me and he goes, do you want to go with them? And I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to go. No. Right? They're going to kick my ass. Right? And he's like, she says he looks back at my dad. He's just as tall as my dad, but he's younger. He's in much better shape. And he's like, and he's tough. And he goes, she doesn't want to go with you. And my dad was like, well, she has to come with us. We're her parents. She has to do what we say. And he's like, she's not going with you. She doesn't want to go with you. She's not going with you. Shuts the door. And I'm like, sweet. They saved my ass for one night. I was like, thank God, because I'd just been beaten up by my mother. I really couldn't take another one. Not that night anyway. My nerves were shot. And, this is just how it was, right? So, you know, unbelievable. At the age of just turning 16, and I'm not even allowed to defend myself. It's absolutely ridiculous. I had no idea even how to do it. So I'm learning, though, from my friend Diane, right? That's why my mom hates her. So, you know, that year just kind of, continues on. My mom still doesn't like her, doesn't like the fact that I'm hanging around with her, you know. Um, she just, she doesn't want me to have any any say or any freedom. She wants me to be under her thumb, right? And so I off and on for the rest of that winter, actually, I kind of used to stay over there quite a bit. Like I'd sleep on their couch, and her mom would let me do it. Their mom would let me come and stay, and I thought that was pretty cool of them to let me do that because it was just like the other family that used to do that and take me in for 3 or 4 days and let me hang around. It was just nice to have a reprieve to get away from my mom for a while, and it was a good idea for me to get out of the house for a while. So I turned 16 that winter. I'm in the 12th grade now, and I've only got like 2 or 3 classes. It's kind of a half schedule. I'm finishing early. Most of the kids graduating are 18. I'm just turning 16. And my mom and my sister Kathy decided that I should have a job, that I need a job, right? I shouldn't be just getting high with my friends and just messing around, right? So they suggested I get a job with my mother, right? And I'm like, oh, I guess, So we go over there. I apply for the job. The manager has us both in there where my mom works. And she's like, I don't usually like family members to work together, especially mother-daughter. But she goes, and you're a little young. You've never had a job before or anything like that. She goes, but you guys, I mean, you might work out, but she says, you have to keep it a working relationship. It can't be mother-daughter in here because I'm the boss. So, you guys have to be okay with that, in here, you're just coworkers. You're not family. So this way you can keep your family stuff out of the office, right? If you guys can do that, then we'll give it a try. My mom's like, sure, we can do that. Because my mom's thinking, oh, it won't matter if I just give her the backhand. You know what I mean? She takes it, no problem. Or if I throw her on the ground and beat her, kick her, punch her, she just takes it, no problem. So that's my mom. My mom's thinking, no problem, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know how this is going to work. You know what I mean? But we can give it a try. So I started working with my mom. It's very short shifts. It's only 4 days a week. And the money's not bad. I was actually making just a little bit less than what I'm making right now. And that was a long time ago. So I'm still not making that much. I'm really thankful for what I have, though. And so I saved my money. Instead of blowing it, I saved most of it. And I've got some money saved. Like $600 saved, $700 saved. And I want to buy a car. So I've been kind of learning how to drive in the meantime. And I go and I get my driver's license. At this time, you didn't have to go through all this trouble of getting a learner's permit and all this stuff first. You could literally, if you could drive a vehicle, you could go and get your license. This is back in the days when this stuff was still allowed, right? And so I went and got my license, and I got my car. It cost me $600. It was a Chevy Nova, a V8 engine. It was the mechanic had fixed it up like a race car. It even had race car seats, like the bucket seats, and it had no seat belts in it. And the back was just trashed. There was no carpet. The back seat. It was a 2-door Chevy Nova, 72 Chevy Nova. I loved that car. It was a sports edition, but it was really old. It wasn't fancy or anything. And the inside, there was no carpet. It was all metal, and the back seat was kind of ripped up. It was really old, and it needed a lot of work. So he was only he could only get like $1,000 for it. I told him I got $600, And he had to move to California because he was in the military, and he was being transferred, and he didn't want to take it. So he's like, "Oh, I'll take the 600." Okay. He's like, "Be careful with that car. It's got a fast engine in it. I've souped it up. I'm a mechanic, right? So you be careful with that. You don't be a leadfoot, remember that. I'm like, oh, no, it'll be great. It'll be fine, right? So bad idea. Bad idea. Freedom for me, wheels. I've got no control of anything, right? And life for me is dangerous anyway. It always has been. I really don't do well with this car. I end up, I mean, I'm still working and stuff, but I'm partying too, because I only work like 24 hours a week, and I've got plenty of time to party, right? I'm young. I don't have to sleep much. Get a couple hours of sleep here and there. I'm going to go, man. Plus, not only that, I started doing speed, methamphetamines, things like this, and other drugs. I've got money now. I know where to buy the drugs. Everybody knows where to buy the drugs when you use drugs. You can find them. I've got no problem finding drugs. And so me and my friend are smoking massive amounts of pot every day. I've been doing this now for, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm 16. 5 years. But now I'm throwing in some other drugs with it. And just not looking after myself. Not taking care of myself. And mostly just wanting to get high. Because that was my escape, see? Because at home, my mom was still, you're a goddamn fucking whore. Get your fucking, and just, nothing was changed. Nothing changed. It was all the same. My parents were still fighting. It's just now I've got a car. I'm working with my mom. We have to behave ourselves at work. So, that year kind of finishes up. I graduate. And the party's on. The party's on, man. All those kids that were hanging around with me while my dad's whipping my legs the summer before, they're all still hanging around with me. But now I've got money and a car. And we're gone. We're gone. And we're out partying and drinking and having fun and not small partying. We're talking big partying and really headed for trouble. I detail all this in A Life of Death, not in La Vida Jubies mainly. Some in A Life of Death Redemption, but a lot of that's the La Vida Jubies story, right? And all of us are headed for trouble. None of our parents really give a shit about us, and they don't care. They never did care. That's pretty well why we were doing that. My friends across the street, I detail this in La Vida Jubies. Their dad was murdered. Their mother was more interested in sleeping with the neighbor across the street and drinking beer. She didn't really treat those kids all that well. Before the dad was murdered, the dad used to beat the shit out of those boys. And it used to bother me because I knew what it was like to be beaten on. And when I saw him beating his sons, I thought, you're a fucking asshole. In my mind, I never say that. In my mind, I'm thinking, you're a fucking asshole. He would wail on his sons, right? And then he got killed. And I was like, it's kind of sad, but at least they didn't have some guy beating them all the time, right? Then they just had a mother who couldn't cope, drinking all the time. They did a lot of drugs. We did a lot of drugs. My friend Diane came from a broken home, domestic violence and abuse. Her dad had put her mother in the hospital several times. And literally hospitalization was needed. It wasn't just slapping around and bruises. I mean, he put her in the hospital. She divorced him. He was beating on the girls a little bit. Not as serious physical abuse as me, but some. They knew what it was like to see violence. And my friend Diana, my best friend now. And she grew up in a home that was like her mother. I know she loved her kids. She had a sister too as well, a younger sister. And I know she loved her kids, but she always put the man in her life first. So here she got this other guy, this new stepdad guy, which I'll go into more detail in the next show. But he started to run their life then, right? And then he became a problem in their life. And, there was just the mother would just put her relationship with these men in front of her children. And so I will go into detail about that. So, none of us had that good of homes, that this group that we were hanging around with right now. And we all had no direction, no guidance, and really nobody gave a shit about us. And as long as we stayed out of trouble, it was all good. right? So we didn't stay out of trouble very long, though. That was the problem. So we'll pick up where we left off here. We'll look at, we'll continue on probably 17 and 18 and maybe through 19. And so thanks everybody for your support, and I really appreciate it. Like I said, on all of these video series, you can make a difference in your children's lives. You can make sure that they're not being abused. You can make sure that the children around you are not being abused. And if everybody was doing that, we'd have a lot less child abuse going on, right? And learn the facts, learn the signs and symptoms, what to look for of all the different types of abuse, whether it's child sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. Know the signs and symptoms. Then learn how to properly report it, because if it's not properly reported, you can ruin the case and the child can be left in the home, right? And so you have to do the right thing. And also, if you're a survivor, never give up. Never, never. Like I said, there's days where, it's hard. We all know that. I mean, everybody has hard days. And as a survivor of abuse, there's some days that are better than others, right? Sometimes it goes on for a long time. Sometimes there's months better than others. Sometimes there's years better than others. And I would say, you have to hang in there, and nothing's going to change unless you get help. And you also have to learn, you have to change how you feel about yourself. That's what I started to do. I had to, and I will go through and talk about this much, much later in probably the last video series that I do, in the last video that I do for this series. So that people will see what it's taken for me to get where I am today. And that I can function, and that I can hold a job, and that I can be responsible, and I can live a good, decent life. I can set boundaries. I'm not hurting myself, not self-injuring. I've got a good life, right? And so there are things that we need to do in order to put that in place. So as a survivor, one child abuse survivor to another, I ask that you would continue on this journey and never, ever give up. It's not an option. Just don't let it be an option. That's what I did. I said, it's just not an option. I don't have an option. I have to keep going. Because for every day that I stay alive and I do well, it's a slap in my abuser's face. Because, I can't get justice. There will never be justice served on this earth, So that's my justice, is that I don't hurt myself and I don't kill myself. I'm still here and I'm doing good. And that's my victory, right? And so I would wish this for you too. So God bless you all until the next time, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.